Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz, and this is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of the upcoming game matchups. This week's video, I might be a little bit quick with it because I'm on my way to go to ACL to see Hope tonight. So let's just go ahead and get through what all that we have to get through. So we all saw the game Sunday, and unfortunately, once again, we have lost two premier defensive players in Whitney Merciless and JJ Watt. Very sad what happened to JJ, man. Honestly, man, like I was really looking forward to seeing him alongside Clowney this year. And I keep forgetting about Merciless for whatever reason. But having those three go after the quarterback is bound to put our defense on top. Unfortunately, we're asking ourselves this question. What now? Again. Last year, we asked the same question. What now? After Watt went down, I believe it was the third game of the season against the Patriots, with a back injury that was nagging him throughout most of the offseason. This year, it looked like it was a horrible leg injury, just, out of nowhere, just gave out on him. So and we're asking ourselves, what now? What's going to happen? One thing I think for sure will probably happen is our defense is going to take quite a few hits, if you ask me. So now that we don't have Watt, we don't have those O linemen doing those double teams. And not only that, I don't think we had the defensive linemen to draw those double teams. So now we're getting our D-line handled up and, in situations or schemes that offensive coordinators are drawing up to protect their quarterback or, to make holes for their running backs. So, I think our defense is going to take a few hits on that, a few notches on that from not being able to generate a pass rush. Another thing about that is the Texans, they did go out and get another pass rusher in Lamar Houston. The ironic part about that is Lamar Houston who was previously spent 3 years with the Bears. He was suffering from injuries, just various injuries with his time on the Bears. So it's like getting rid of one broken clock and bringing in another clock that's, about to lose its minute hand or whatever the saying goes, or whatever the saying goes, what I just made up. So basically, that's one thing for sure that's going to happen. Our defense is going to be slow to kind of get back to where it needs to be. And on top of that, people, I guess, I don't know if people remember, but we did lose Brian Cushing as well. And, Cushing, he'll probably be back in another 6 or 7 games, or maybe 7 or 8 games or so. We also have lost Kevin Johnson to injury as well on the secondary. So that's taking hits in other areas that we really didn't. Those are hits that we already had, but now we're getting an additional hit in a primary area that was really holding up the defense. Also, is it too early to talk about Watt's future right now? He's 28 years old. He's already suffered like his second straight season-ending injury. So in 28 in the NFL, or probably any sport, that's probably what, 40 years old or damn near late 30s in regular people's lives. You couple that with an injury such as what Watt suffered, then, you're probably putting him in like mid-40s, 50-plus range. You know what I'm saying? So, it's something you got to think about. Do you look to have plans of moving him sometime soon or within the next couple of years, just so you can bring somebody else in that'll play alongside Clowney? Maybe you can use him to build up other parts of the defense or build up another part of the offense. So just something to just really think about, because if you do move him, you don't want to get nothing for him. You want to get some draft picks, or you want to get another player or a couple of young players or so. So it's definitely never too early to start thinking about that, even though we don't want to as much as we love J.J. Watt. Last thing I want to touch on about what now, the emergence of Clowney. How effective is that going to be? Clowney, he's like, ironically, the first couple of years, he's been dealing with injuries on his own. It was just hard to just really get him on the field and as a healthy professional player. And now this last season and this season seems to be the very few times that he's been on the field consistently healthy. And, he's proven to be doing great. Like last year, he made the Pro Bowl. Hell, this year, he was a big factor in that close game against the New England Patriots. And so I really see Clowney as coming into his own this year, and that's what kind of makes me upset about the Watt injury because I was really looking forward to seeing Watt and Clowney come together and form something really special for the NFL to see. And so, with that being said, I think Clowney's emergence is definitely going to be on his way to maybe replacing what J.J. Watt did. Maybe that's where we'll get our double teams from. But you also got to understand, we had Merciless that was coming in and doing the pass rush as well. And sometimes he'd be on Watt's side, sometimes he'd be on Clowney's side. So definitely without Merciless in there, it might not mean too much more as well. But I think this season is going to make Clowney grow a little bit more as a player and grow a little bit more as a defensive force. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Clowney can do for the rest of this year as far as taking on that primary defensive threat role. Now, to get to the game. So this week we're playing the Cleveland Browns, 0-5. Perfect game to talk about considering I'm in a rush right now to go to go see Jay-Z. So with that being said, there's nothing really that we have to talk about with the Texans facing the Browns. The one thing that the Texans have to do facing the Browns, do not underestimate their defense. This past weekend or last Sunday or whatever, they finally got to see the debut of rookie defensive end Myles Garrett, also the number one this year's number one overall pick. And dude came out blazing. He had 2 sacks in the game, including his first sack coming off his very first play for scrimmage. So guys looking to like really be special. And I think a lot of people on both sides of the fan base spectrum for this game are going to be looking to see excuse me, they're going to be looking to see what this kid can actually do. So I know I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it. Seeing that he's only fresh 2 games in, and I didn't get a chance to watch him during the preseason. So definitely do not underestimate this defense because they'll probably be way hyped for that. On top of that, they're number 5 overall in the league. Surprisingly, after 5 games, the Cleveland Browns have the 5th best defense statistically. All right, so let's not get it twisted. Also, they're number 5 in stopping the run. So let's not get that twisted. This is all just statistics, obviously, and so it'll probably all depend on like who they're matching up against. Personally, I don't think that if they haven't won a game, look. Cleveland's been losing to they lost to some pretty garbage teams. They lost to the Colts, for God's sake. And no matter how much you want to try to flip it or spin it, the Colts ain't doing anything this year at all, no matter if luck comes back or not. But with that being said, for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think they have enough to even pull off I don't think they have enough to pull off a win anytime soon, and that includes having a game against the Houston Texans, who, despite being 2-3, are pretty great 2-3, mind you. And I'm not just saying that to be biased. We just had a couple of hiccups here and there at the quarterback position, and also, just in other areas as well. So, with that being said, as long as the Texans do not take the Browns lightly on defense, and don't take them lightly on offense either. I know our defense is having like a couple of issues of just people being hurt here and there, but I don't think this offense is going to be the type that'll just break this defense down at its weakest moment. I think this particular Cleveland Browns offense is going to be the offense where this newly quote-unquote formed defense can put a game plan together and figure out how they can move forward and attacking the quarterback and the other skill position players for teams down the line. So I think the Texans got that if they just don't if they follow that aspect and not just take the Cleveland Browns lightly on defense. So with that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. I'll see you next week. It's The Rock.